And if I have to tell the secret, what did I do? Nothing much. I haven't started hosting client events. I was doing a shitload of, excuse my language, shitload of notes because I was part of the Buffini systems. But see, in the beginning, you asked me when we were chatting, what's my superpower? And I'm telling you, it's relationship building. If you are in my presence within like 30 minutes, I'm gonna make you feel like I'm probably one of your best friends. Yeah. And this was my relationship with a lot of clients who I met. I always connected with a wife, empower the wife, because what they say, happy life is happy wife. And a lot of these clients are like, wow, Lana is super genuine. We wanted her to be part of our world. And I was that realtor, and still up to date. I'm the realtor who gets invited housewarming parties, kids' birthdays, anniversaries. I'm that kind of realtor. Unfortunately, right now, my time is very, very consumed with other things I cannot attend. But I was that kind of person, and word of mouth, man, word of mouth.
Hey, Jack Lehr here down Lehr's Lair. So excited today to bring this amazing guest from all the way from Colorado Springs, Lana Rodriguez. Lana, welcome.
Jack, how are you? It's good to be here, and it's not snowing in Colorado, so it's a good day to be on a podcast.
I'll tell you what, it's snowing in Tucson, but it's not snowing here. It's not snowing in Colorado. I'm super grateful that you came here to be a part of our world today. Thank you.
Thank you, my friend, and I'm super honored to be here. Hopefully our audience are in for the treat. I'm going to be fully vulnerable and share whatever you ask me. So I'm open book. Let's get to it.
I love it. So you have a team out in Colorado Springs. The name of your team is what?
The team is, well, it's going to sound a little cliche, but it's the Lana Rodriguez group with me in the middle.
Lana's in the middle. So, and then you have some team members, and is one of them maybe your husband?
Yes, I am that team leader who co-works and co-leads with my husband, Brian Rodriguez. And it hasn't started that way, believe it or not. It's a humble beginnings. Brian was active duty for almost 12 years. And that's how actually we ended up in Colorado. And then we made a decision for him to get out of the Army and join me in this endeavor. Army was going to move us, and I'm like, I don't think we can move and recreate what I have here elsewhere. And he's like, well, are you sure? I'm like, yes. So we made an educated decision for him to get out, and now we co-work together.
That's beautiful. So your humble beginnings, you were in retail. You might have done some other stuff too. Do you mind sharing?
Yeah, Jack, I don't know if you knew, but I'm actually immigrant. That's why please be very patient with what I'm saying, because I'm really trying to, sound not foreign, but I'm originally from the country of Latvia, part of Russia a long time ago. But I used to make a joke, I'm from Mother Russia, but now for political reasons, we no longer make that joke. And I have been in America for 17 years. So I really, really had humble beginnings, not only in real estate, but in my journey to become an American. And let me tell you, I'm a patriot at heart. I'm proud to be an American, and I love the opportunities this country has given me. And when I came to this country, I spoke very, very little English, and I had to take multiple courses in English second language class just to sound, decent. And my journey before real estate was in retail management. I managed stores anywhere from BCBG, Max Hasbro, and Puma to Kenneth Cole, Ed Hardy, and Michael Kors.
Wow. Did you do anything else, or was that was the start?
Yes. So in between, I also was a dental assistant. Okay. I was a server. I had some data entry job. And so pretty much for the longest time, and back home, I used to be a hairstylist. So as they say, a woman of many trades and master of none. But I really found my passion in retail, because over there, I discovered a concept of clienteling. And clienteling means when somebody walks into your space, you have 5 minutes, if not less, to connect with them and hopefully interest them enough to sell a product. Very quickly, I also realized that cold calling, it's not going to be my way I will be conducting business. And let me tell you why. Because if some of our audience on the phone, on the screen is thinking, well, I kill it with cold calling, good for you. Unfortunately, it was not the case for me, because every time I'm on the phone, I lose the sale because of my accent. I start sound foreign, but a party on the other line does not understand what I'm saying. So I had to very quickly adapt and not kill myself over this. I was like, it's okay, Lana, you can do something better. And that's why even the beginning of my real estate career, I discovered if I can get somebody in front of me, either it's listing appointment, an office appointment, and I can spend 1 hour with them, they're going to love me. I'm going to read their body language. I'm going to see how they are. I'm going to learn about them, and they're going to go with me as a real estate professional.
So we could really end this right now, if because that right there is it, relationship building.
Yeah.
Let's end it. Hey, it was great to see you today. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, everyone.
No, but anyway, that is super important that a lot of people forget. Okay, relationships and getting face to face, because that first few seconds, that first 5 minutes makes a big difference. And you were retailing, and then you realized that there's these relationships. What got you interested in making the transition to real estate?
Well, because this is I can be fully honest here, because we're all friends here, and I'm sure our audience are friends too. It was not by choice. It's never I had a dream to become this amazing realtor and go conquer, property sales. No, but we moved to Colorado Springs area, and my goal before I was 30 was to have a kid. I'm one of those females who has hormonal problems, and I'm not going to go into detail on that, but it was going to be hard for me to get pregnant. That's what doctors said. Yep. And I was always in discussions with my husband. I was like, Brian, we need to start trying. And Brian, being a very stubborn military guy, he's like, absolutely not. We're not ready to have kids. I'm like, compromise. This is a word compromise is a big part of my marriage. And I'm sure it's part of any marriage. And Brian said this, why don't you go back to work, figure out what you want to do, and then we can start having a kid. And I'm like, Brian, that's kind of mean. That's not how it really works. But what he did is he changed my life, because without that particular ultimatum, and some of you may think it was crazy. It was crazy at that time. I would not be here. I would not be here on this podcast, and there will be no Lana Rodriguez group. And we kind of analyzed that. In order for me back then, 8 years ago, to go back to retail, I would have to go, drive 1 hour to Denver area to manage the volume of the stores I used to manage. But we were buying together our third property. I had my first house in Austin, Texas. We also got we got commingled into buying a quadplex because we wanted to be a young landlords. It was a hip thing to do back then. And we were buying our first house, and Brian said this, well, why don't you become a realtor? And I'm like, oh, Brian, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to pass the real estate exam because I hate school. I'm not book smart. I'm a bit of a street smart person. And Brian is like, well, let's just try. And I literally went into real estate school with all intention to get my real estate license, get off the birth control, and start having a baby. But I know Jackie might be thinking, Lana, this is nuts, it was nuts. But see, entire time I was part of big brands. So when you work for Michael Kors, you have a certain pride. And when I got my real estate license, we have to, before you get it finalized, you have to hang your license somewhere. And I interviewed little mom and pop shops here in Colorado Springs. And I'm like, okay, I like it. I don't love it. And then when I went into RE/MAX, I joined #1 RE/MAX in the city.
Okay.
And I was hooked. And let me tell you the backstory. I was actually so naive. I did not know that every broker in town wants you to be part of his brokerage. I thought it's this interview process. I came all suited up, and I studied about my broker owner, about the RE/MAX he founded in 1986, like I was going for the job corporate interview. And when I was done, they're like, you need to be part of this brokerage. And I was. It was a #1 brokerage founded back then in the day out of all the Colorado RE/MAX brokerages. And that year I became intern of the year, which is a part of like a first person graduating with honors, their training program.
Okay.
And it was also the year I was actually blessed with the pregnancy of my daughter. And that particular year, brand new to Colorado. Remember, we were living there only for a few months now.
Oh.
I conducted 31 transactions.
So 31 in your first year.
31 in my first year, and pretty much this was my mentality. Okay, Lana is licensed. Lana is part of RE/MAX. Lana is also pregnant. Lana has 9 months. So within that 9 months, I did straight up hustle. I tried to meet as many people as possible. And back then, believe it or not, CRM was not a thing, or maybe at least it was not in my world. So my Facebook became my CRM. Anyone who I would add in a public place or a professional environment, I would immediately ask them, do you mind if we connect on Facebook? And most of the time when you ask this question right now, the answer is always yes.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to give me your business card, I'm probably going to lose it within 24 hours because I'm a bit of a squirrel. Paper documents doesn't go well with me. But when you start adding people into whatever system you use, Instagram, we can talk about Instagram. Instagram is a little different. Facebook or any other platforms, you start developing this connection. And remember, Facebook is the only two-way communication portal. Because let's say, Jack, I meet you at the conference and we connect on Facebook. You're in my world, I'm in your world. If we connect on Instagram, I have to hope that you would follow me back. You may forget about me, never follow me back. We're done. The connection is never there.
Yeah.
Also, one thing what I did in my first year of business, remember the Meetup app where you can join any kind of meetups in your area?
Right.
Yeah. So I joined a bunch of those, like knitting mom clubs, hiking moms. And, I would go to those meetups and in my head, I'm like, I'm wasting my time. What am I doing here? But this is a trick. Most of the time, these meetups are going to feel like that, but you need to pick an alpha of the organization and you need to connect with them. Because my goal was not to meet all these ladies who probably don't work and don't have a opportunity to like network or work, but I met and I became friends or acquaintances with the person who's in charge of this. And my goal for her was to remember me when it comes to anything's real estate.
Yeah.
And backtrack from first year, second year of business, it was a record-breaking year. And I did 119 transactions as a solo producer with a part-time TC with a newborn at home.
I love this.
Yeah. And if I have to tell the secret, what did I do? Nothing much. I haven't started hosting client events. I was doing a shitload of notes because I was part of the Buffini systems. But see, in the beginning, you asked me when we were chatting, what's my superpower? And I'm telling you, it's relationship building. If you are in my presence within like 30 minutes, I'm going to make you feel like I'm probably one of your best friends. Yeah. And this was my relationship with a lot of clients who I met. I always connected with a wife, empower the wife, because what they say, happy life is happy wife. And a lot of these clients are like, wow, Lana is super genuine. We wanted her to be part of our world. And I was that realtor, and still up to date. I'm the realtor who gets invited housewarming parties, kids' birthdays, anniversaries. I'm that kind of realtor. Unfortunately, right now, my time is very, very consumed with other things I cannot attend. But I was that kind of person. And word of mouth, man, word of mouth. And somebody asked me recently, like, how do you plug in? They're asking for referrals. Yeah. Well, I have a bit of a funny way. I like to make jokes, and I was like, hey, well, if you like this, never too busy for your referrals. And it works for me.
I love that. I mean, when we have meetings or, have a podcast like this, and I will share with everybody out there. So we were in the same room. We're at the same brokerage, but we were in the same room up in Utah, and we didn't meet each other. I think we connected on social media somehow. I happened to see you and your husband, Brian, doing a promo video. And somebody said, hey, come over here and do this promo video. And you guys were doing it in front of me. So I was like, man, that's a dynamic couple up there. Like there's this spark about you guys. And I was like, I really like to get to know you. And then like the conference goes, and next thing you're flying back and you're like, damn, there's some people I really wanted to get to meet. So like, this is our first time, like really having a conversation. And we spent a little time prior to this, and I'm just like blown away. I'm like, this young lady is fucking killer. I love it.
You're very kind. Thank you.
We did ask if we could drop some F's every now and then, or it's not PG-13.
Yeah. But yeah, I remember when you and I, we were together at Utah conference, and then at one reel, I think they put us in front of the camera, and you were there too. So that's how, but I wish we acquainted it like sooner, but once again, everything comes at that's perfect timing. And, I'm happy to be a part of Real with amazing leaders like yourself.
This is great. I think we are truly blessed to have Lana leading the way out there. So, and again, it's that culture and that stuff that you're all about. It just shines through massively. So you get I saw recently you're on the stage doing some speaking, huh? That's pretty, Are you enjoying that?
Yeah, I really do. And, there's some people who recently asked me, how do you get on stages? And I just want people to understand, and our friends and audience to understand, me on stages right now, it's 8 years in the making. It's not like Lana pressed the magic button. Okay, I'm ready to speak, everyone. No. I worked my way up and I came very, very long way. I never had a professional speaking coach. I'm a bit of a self-taught, but I attended a 2-day boot camp, or what they say, with one of the top entrepreneur speaking coaches in the country. I did that, and eventually maybe I'll hire him to be my one-on-one coach, because I want to progress into that. But for our audience who would like to get on stages, so number one, this is my advice to you. Before you become a master and a teacher, you need to become a student. So in my lifetime, I attended shitload of conferences before I was even like, it clicked in my head, I would like to be in one of those stages. And my husband's like, you going to another conference? Like, how many more? I was like, as many as I can. Because being in an audience, you're sitting and you're observing, number one, how this event is organized. And you see the good speakers and you see the bad speakers, and you identify the speaking style. And then you start crafting your own little keynote, right? Because the keynote can be about anything, and you have to identify what's your superpower, and can it be put in the keynote that you can go ahead and present on stage. And before you start getting on stages, you need to get an opportunity to get on amazing podcasts like this. And I think the pivotal moment was for me in 2020. Remember 2020, we were all locked out or locked into our houses, and there was Zoom on top of Zoom. So I had to get really, really uncomfortable being comfortable in speaking in front of the crowd. And speaking on Zoom, it's a little different than stage, because there is no emotion. You said something funny, no one is clapping for you, and you have to start watching people's reactions. But it kind of put me a little bit out of comfort zone. And then you start speaking on smaller panels within your local city. Like my first panel was like in 2016, and I looked back, I was like, I look like a boiled potato, but somebody still put me on stage over there, you know? So the way I look back then is much different than I look right now. And it's very rewarding. And I want to tell you my reasons why I speak on stage. Okay. Number one, it's giving back. It's giving back. Not only I speak on real stages, I also in a few months, I'll be speaking at the EXP stage. And there's all my friends there, you know, they're going to stay at that brokerage because they built some massive things. So I had the privilege to go and support them, and it's okay. There was a local nonprofit who invited me to speak, and there is no real estate connections there. Hopefully they're going to remember me as a local Colorado Springs expert. So number one, it's rewarding. Number two, it's exposure for your brand. Okay. It's people in the audience get to know who you are and what you have to offer. Hopefully remember you. Yeah. And then referral opportunities. So when I go right now at any event, my number one goal is to at least people to remember me as a Colorado Springs referral partner. And so far it worked. I
love this. And are you open to something that has become a little bit more powerful than the word referral?
Yes.
Okay. So think about this, you know, you're growing your business, and you are the queen of these relationships, just the things I heard and the things that you're doing. And, you know, like you don't do that type of volume by just hoping and praying. Like you're in it, you're building relationships. One of the things that we've done and focused heavily on is change the word and called it introductions, and asking for introductions versus referrals.
I love it.
Way more powerful. And we find it works. It just really helps us grow our business by just asking for that true introduction and saying, Lana, hey, I'm trying to grow my business. Who should I get to know to do that in this world? And like that little conversation sparks this, oh, well, I know Joe, like he's buying all this real estate. Would you be so kind to send a text to him and introduce him to me? And that little mutual text of introduction versus the referral hopeful. Again, you're growing your business massively. I don't need to tell you what to do, but it's just that little switch that we've helped some others in other parts of the world just change this a tad. And oh my goodness.
Jack, I love it. So thank you so much for sharing, because referral, like you and I know what referral opportunity means.
Yeah.
But the public and consumer, they're like, what does she want? She wants, you know, but introduction, it's so much more simple. It's not salesy. I love it. And I think I'm going to address it with my team at the next team meeting. And we're going to do a little bit of like script practice, because we constantly like all the referral, like, hey, never too busy for referrals, this and this. It's like plugged in everywhere. But
it gets a little confusing, because like if you're a licensed real estate professional, like the word referrals happens all the time, but the the front facing side, the consumer, they really don't know what that means.
Yeah.
But they do know what the word introduction means.
Yep. No, I love it. Thank you so much. And hopefully our audience listening, this is genius.
So now, instead of selling 119 homes a year annually, you're going to sell like 125. I'm just picking. No, you're growing your team. So you have a team right now, and about how many agents, and where are you taking that?
Yeah. So right now we're about 10 agents, and then myself and Brian.
Okay.
Our roles are rainmakers of the organization. So the majority of the lead sources come from us.
Okay.
So there's a thing that I have built out, which is, client and repeat referral business, and also referral opportunities that come in from my agent relationships. And then Brian, he has joined us full time about 3-4 years ago. And I'm just going to share with our audience, it was a bit of a hard transition, because he was Army officer for all these years, and him coming into the organization where his wife is sort of a boss. It was interesting. So we had to very quickly adapt and see how Brian thrive in this environment. And this is what he discovered. And some of you may be listening, and it may be an aha moment. So Brian graduated at Military Academy many, many years ago. And he found an opportunity that there was no one doing any real estate kind of masterminding within Military Academy grads. They have, because just like us realtors, we have our own groups. Military Academy grads, they have their own groups. And for some of you listening, you may not be in a Military Academy grad, but you may graduated at University of Boulder or something like this, but no one was doing any masterminds on real estate theme. And Brian pulled the trigger. He did his first event. It was 4 years ago. And there was like maybe 40 people who attended. And believe it or not, you know how sometimes real estate can get a little catty and things like that. Oh, military guys the same way. So people were like making fun of him. No one's going to show up. And now 4 years later, that particular room that he literally took initiative, niched out, has grown into one of the most powerful rooms in the real estate world I have been. Wow. He backs solidly over 100 attendees every year. And there is some very, very powerful deals that come out of it, relationships, and it's just mind blowing. I'm very, very proud of him doing that. And it was not an easy route. It was him and a couple other guys who kind of supported it. And of course, when you host an event like this, it's all your cost. You can bring in some sponsors, but majority you have to carry out the cost. And this is what came out of it. Last year, Brian has closed the biggest transaction in our history of all the deals. Nice. It was a $25 million hotel sale. He sold third largest hotel in Colorado in the entire state.
Wow.
And that particular deal came in as a referral from this group he created.
So he built that room, and that commission alone from that introduction referral paid for all the stuff that he's been doing for many, many years, right?
Yes, it paid for everything. And you know what I told him? I was like, Brian, this is awesome, but just don't be a one-hit wonder. That's like a internal joke. And yeah, but it was awesome. And just relationships, man, relationships. It all goes back to relationships.
Yeah. And I think that one of the most incredible part about a military male or female joining real estate is the structured discipline that it's deep ingrained. And because a lot of folks are leaving the military and they don't have an outlet for that structure because it's not out there. But that discipline structure of being a licensed real estate professional that shows up daily, does the things necessary, boy, I think that's an incredible growth opportunity for you guys.
Yeah. And that's so interesting that you brought up discipline and structure, because that's not me. I'm probably the most unorganized and all over the place person ever, but we have Brian Rodriguez, who is very disciplined, and that's where we butt heads a little bit, but it's also a very, very good balance, because I'm a visionary. I have these crazy ideas that I come to my head and I have to write it down. And then of course you have to have execution team for any crazy ideas. So it's a good balance. That's all I can say. It's a good balance.
Good deal. Like book wise, Rocket Fuel. Have you read that?
I think Brian has. I haven't.
Okay, yeah. Very good.
Rocket Fuel.
It's both of you should read this. It's very important because it's that what you just explained. So I'd love for you guys to just embrace that. It will help you understand each other a little bit more.
Rocket Fuel. Okay. Love it. Rocket Fuel. Yeah.
It's a good one. Are there any books that you're reading that could be helpful to others, or it's things that you're listening to?
Okay. So I try to tune into a lot of podcasts. with a fellow pros. And now, since we're being part of Real Broker, we have a lot of online education and classes and masterminds. So when I have time, I tune into that. But one book that I will recommend, and it's not a plug for any other brokerage or nothing like that, because a lot of solo producers, they want to start a team. Ultimate goal, if you're in real estate and you achieved semi-successful business, you want to start a team, but do not start a team the wrong way. And one book that comes to mind is Gary Keller Red Book, $1 Million Agent. Yeah. Like, I read that book 4 times, but unfortunately I read after I structured my team and had some pros and cons within the growth. But read that book if you're a brand new real estate agent or you're thinking team may be the route. Read it twice, because the way you're gonna understand the information the first time, it's gonna be second different time. If I can just go back before I started a team and read that book all over again, because he breaks it down and he explains how it needs to be. Unfortunately, a lot of us, including myself, I did not start team that way, but I wish I did.
Yeah, I think we all learn and adapt, and we certainly make the mistakes, and the biggest lessons typically are the ones that cost us the most, typically financially, and hopefully you'll learn from that. I know I have, and I've made some stupid mistakes in building our teams, and but that book is really good. I've read bits and pieces from it, and I highly recommend that one as well. Yes. Anything else that want to share with respect to like books or podcasts? Like, is there a podcast that somebody should be listening to other than this one?
Well, clearly it's yours, right? Clearly it's yours. And Brian Buffini podcast. I don't know if you have not tapped into it, but his podcast, it's actually very diverse. It's not only towards real estate professionals, but he brings a lot of guests. And once again, Tom Ferry, I mean, he's a great leader, but Brian Buffini, he has this very, very genuine presence about him. Yeah. And he just sometimes says the right things, and it's very, very relatable. So for our dear agent friends listening, Brian Buffini podcast, check it out. And whatever you're listening to, it just brings you to peace. Even if it's like, if you're shit on the transaction side or personal side, falling apart, you listen to Brian's words, it's going to bring you to peace.
I love this. And I think the one thing that we talked about a little bit before was just, there seems to be this great divide. There's these teams that rely heavily all on online leads. That was a big part of my world up until just recently. And instead of the sphere referral and loving on the clients, we're certainly making that transition, but you don't buy any leads.
We don't. We actually attempted to pick and play a little bit last year, but I'm like, you know what? It's just too confusing. And once again, the biggest kudos to you, Jack, and to other team leaders who massively scale with the online lead conversion. Like, I'm a fan, and maybe someday I'll get there. But we just kind of adopted the client appreciation business model, and we just made it ours. We just made it ours, and we went all the way in. So instead of like 1 or 2 client appreciation events, we just hosted maybe 6 or 7. Okay. Make it so consistent that it becomes a habit within our client community. Because just like us realtors, your client database are also creatures of habit. Yeah. And for some of our audience, if you're thinking you're going to start, well, I'm just going to try to do this one client event. No, make it a tradition. Like right now we have Easter brunch coming up. Okay. And the clients are already reaching out. Hey, when is the announcement? We're planning. And because I made it a habit and I made it a super powerful event within our client community, but it takes time. And number one, you need a team. You need an execution team. If I will tell you, Jack, it's all me, I'm organizing, planning everything, I'll be full of shit. Absolutely not. You're right. I'm a visionary. I have a vision, but I have an amazing staff who executes this on my behalf. I also learned how I operate. If I don't delegate, most likely nothing is going to happen. Yeah. My husband, he's a master executioner because he's very, very disciplined. He doesn't need anybody. He can do it himself. I can't. So as you start growing your organization, team or event planning committee, please identify your strength and operate within your strength and hire and outsource for your weaknesses.
I love that. And so do you have systems and processes in place for like all the way from the beginning of the transaction all the way through, or are you just kind of hoping and praying it ends beautifully?
Well, yes, no. And see, for the longest time, my systems and processes were people. I had a client care manager who was also my right hand person for the last 3 years. Unfortunately, we parted ways, and I will disclose with our audience why, because it's a very important lesson. And now we have amazing new person who we are bringing into the world. And it will be great to have written SOPs where we're like, here, this is how it works. But we're just sitting down with her and kind of explaining how everything goes. But the minute Lana says Lana wants to host Easter brunch, the number one thing, you need to reserve the venue. Reserve the venue, you need to establish point of contact. This is the same as you want to host real estate conference or if you want to host client appreciation. Yeah. Venue booking is number one. Establishing point of contact for the venue is number two, because who is going to be communicating with you and your staff? So then we map out the invitation system. We have 5 touches. Very, very important if you are thinking hosting your client appreciation event. 5 touches. Number one, we do a Facebook client invite on Facebook. It works very well because what happens? Facebook is automated system. As long as you create something on Facebook, they're going to be sending friendly reminders on your behalf.
Yeah.
Number two, all of our people get mailer invites. I'm a firm believer in tangible items. Tangible, something you can hold, you can slap it on the fridge or put it in the trash, whatever. Number three, either myself or my agents, we go on site and we either do it with our cell phones or we bring our videographer and we create an invitation, because a lot of our clients are also visual people. They see touch one, touch two, and they're like, I don't know if it's worth my time. But then they see Lana standing behind this beautiful hotel, inviting you to come to her Easter brunch. You're going to want to attend. And then, of course, everything also comes out digitally in our email format. We'll use MailChimp for email format, newsletter. And then last but not least, it's personal touch. We have 500 families currently living in Colorado. It's a little harder for me personally to call everyone, but we use automated texts and automated voicemail that goes out on my behalf. But I always encourage my agents, please reach out to people you worked with, designate your time, and just invite everybody in person, because a personal touch goes a long way.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you just laid it out. If you just do that, you take great care of your sphere and those people, and you love on them, and yet those, again, referral introductions, they come back to you manyfold. This is simple shit.
It's so simple. Jack, you're so right. It's so simple. Can I share another simple thing we do, which is like so cheesy and simple, but it fucking works. So I'm a true believer that right now, during this time, because we're still in a shift of the market. If some of you came out, good for you, but we haven't come out yet. It's time to organize your database. Re-audit all your database, reorganize the leads, and check on all your past clients. Are they still with you, or did they wander to somebody else? Maybe they sold with somebody else. Try to find the reasons why. What could we have done right or wrong to contain them? So then your database needs to be organized into A, B, C, and D. And believe it or not, there's not all realtors who know this concept. So A are your raving fans, your biggest supporters. Your Bs are most of the time your sphere of influence, people who know, like, and trust you, your past clients. And your Cs are, it's like a sphere acquaintances, people who know you, but they don't necessarily might refer you yet. And D stands for delete. So when you organize your people in your CRM or whatever you call it, you will know the health of your database. And how you communicate to your A's, it's not how you communicate to your C's. Like, let's say I got this beautiful batch of these Starbucks cups, and I just feel like popping by my A people. It's going to be simple. I'm going to ring the doorbell. They're going to like, Lana, this is you. I'm like, hey, how are you? Happy Easter. This is for you. I cannot do this to my C people, because if I'm going to show up with a gift to my C people, they'll be like, I think you're Lana. What are you doing here? How do you know where I live? This is bottom line creepy. So don't do that. You have to create like these little winning steps into make your raving fans into your raving fans.
Oh my gosh, this is great information. So like the things you share, I bring it back to my team. I grab little pieces of it and go, my gosh, this is what we need to be doing. So this is what we need to be doing. Do you hear that out there, audience? My audience. Yeah, thank you. Okay, I love this stuff. What, like, the secret success for Lana is this relationship stuff, right? When I say stuff, I mean it's super important. When they come into your world, they get greeted with this incredible human who just has this big smile, is all about others, because it does shine through. What else are you doing to like grow your business outside of the sphere stuff?
Yeah, right on. So this is what I also said to everyone who comes into our world, and most of the time it's referral-based business. But even though they were referred to Lana, we got a little bit of hype from the referring partner, they still don't know who we are. And I immediately say this: when you work with us, number one, we are the agent who does not go away. We're the team that does not go away. We're going to be there right after the transaction. We're going to have our concierge service for you to tap into. And I'll tell you how the idea of concierge service was born. Not like I had this fancy idea. No. It's all through trial and error.
Yeah.
And they become part of our client community. And this is a verbiage. You all can take it and use it in your business. Client community, not CRM, not this. It's because, look, when I came to America, it was a very lonely route as an immigrant. I had to create my friends. I had to create relationships. Then what happened? I married a military guy. It's still a lonely route because you were moved from one duty station to another. You have to recreate yourself in every damn city.
Yeah.
So when I came here to Colorado, I was like, someday I'm going to create a client community where no one ever will feel lonely or kind of alone. And I did that. And our clients eat it up. They love it. They're like, okay, so I can be part of this community. Yes, you can. And this one time, this is a story time. This one time, it was about 2-3 years ago. I was at home with my second child. He was a little sick, and my client is blowing up my phone at 10 o'clock at night. And I am that agent who's going to answer the phone. And I'm like, hey, what's up? She's like, hey, my fridge. She didn't even say sorry. She's like, my fridge door is broken. And I'm like, what? I don't even know what kind of fridge you have. Like, what? I have my sick kid. And I was like, why am I dealing with this? Lana, you have no systems for this. So that's when I took my part-time assistant who was just started, and I'm like, here is the work phone. You're going to be a client care manager now. So now the system is after the transaction is done, she is calling a client on my behalf and establishing report. She says, anything wrong with the house, you'll be calling me. Of course, Lana or your agent is present. They're always available. But any home warranty questions, I'm going to be your point of contact. Life-changing. And if you are a solo producer on this call and you're thinking, okay, well, maybe I need to have somebody. Yes, you do. Because you, as a salesperson, your goal is brand, sales, relationship building. You need somebody working behind the scenes. And Susie was that person for me for the last 3 years, life-changing. She would help me with my kids. She would help me with work items. She knew every client who closed, the children count, the husband's names, things like this. But this is a learning mistake, and this is what happened. Susie asked if she can get licensed. And what do you think I said? Of course. Yeah, great idea. No. So within 6 months from her being an amazing A+ team player, the attitude changed. She started comparing herself to the agents. Because remember, agents is a different breed than staff.
Yeah.
And we had to part ways. It was so heartbreaking. But this is a lesson. If you have somebody great on your team who is like phenomenal, do not sabotage their life and getting them licensed. Or if you do, take that position away from them and make them full-time agent. Don't do this breed half and half. It's not going to work.
Yeah. The hybrid model, and I've tried it in many different scenarios, thinking, oh, they could be a team leader and also produce or whatever it is. Boy, it rarely works out the way you're going to think it should.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things we do when we're leading the team and going, well, I think they would be great in sales. They're really great on this side of the business. And then all of a sudden you put them in that position and then things just change. It's just tough. And it's as leaders, you really got to step back and say, probably not a good idea. Yeah. Lesson learned, right?
Yeah. Lesson learned. And you know what else, Jack? Like right now, I don't do any hiring or firing of the team because I'm a yes person. You ask me anything, it's probably always going to be a yes. So that's why I have my husband who's also in charge of some management things. And then I have 2 Empire Protectors. We're now 3. And 2 of them are not licensed. One of them is our team manager, Pamela. And then our transaction coordinator, Cheryl. Those ladies, they run our organization, and I trust them with my life and I trust them with my business. And they're squared away. And then now we have our lead agent, Amy, who's in charge of younger agents. And any problem, any concern, I go to these three ladies, maybe also include my husband, Brian, depends what the issue is. And they make a decision for me. And it's so much easier. It's so much easier.
That's great. So are you growing your team?
It's a good question. I have been doing a little bit of soul searching, and I may still want to do some soul searching, because like when I go to a big conference and I see these mega teams, like, you know, you look at Spring B or a couple other leaders and you're like, this is massive. Oh my God, mind blown. But then now I have a small SEAL team, just like you know, the same concept, and I'm kind of happy. So I still haven't discovered my why to go bigger on a bigger scale.
Okay.
But maybe next time you and I catch up in a year, I may have some different news.
Yeah, I'm still working on that. This is shifting a little bit right now. So yeah.
Yeah. And I'm excited to follow your journey, because you're going to be embracing some new techniques, and then I'll catch up with you in 90 days. Tell me, how's it going? Because it's hard, especially because we have culture. You and I have cultures, and I like healthy culture. I hate drama. But then the more, you know what they say, more levels, more devils. And I don't know if I really want to go into that.
Yeah. Some people say, are there any flaws in your culture? And there's always a flaw in our culture. And then everybody says, well, I'm hiring to my culture. And then they're like, why are you hiring to the flaws in your culture? So think about that for a second. So you're going to have flaws no matter what. It's just putting systems and processes in place, and having your people actually help the other folks that are on the team be accountable to a higher standard. And as you hire people, raising the standards. Again, we everybody that we're interviewing, we're raising standards. I said, I don't want you to be like the people on my team. Like, beautiful culture, beautiful standards, but we want people with a higher standard. And guess what it does? Then they come in and raise it up. So like, that's just a change in the lid in the last probably 60, 90 days that we're starting to reap the benefits of.
I like that. I like that for sure.
So we got to spend a beautiful time together today. I'm loving this. Do you have any questions for me?
Well, you know, I kind of know what you're going to start doing, but what's your big goal for 2023?
Yeah, just some additional expansion teams. I definitely want to be on that little peninsula down the far right of the United States, and with some multiple offices. So that is the next step.
Okay, I have a couple more questions. What's your superpower?
The ability to shift this comes into play quite often. And just like getting myself, okay, so really it's surrounding myself with others that can help advance our business, can help advance the things we're doing, and just knowing and going into a room and trying to get in the room with those that are way smarter than me and going in super humble. That has become a superpower of mine recently. I used to have this big effing ego that my way was the only way and the best way, because we were producing at a beautiful level. And then, you know, I'm certainly humble, but I think that's the big thing, is making sure that I get into a room with way smarter people and just taking that information in so I can share with others. I love helping people.
No, I love that, dude. And recording it, of course. And of course, what's your top 3 advice for the brand new agent? They just got licensed, they hang their license at some brokerage. What's your top 3 advice for them?
Number 1, show up. Most will never, ever show up. And I always say, I go back to youth athletics, and I've been fortunate to coach a lot of incredible athletes. They're Division I quarterbacks, and I was one myself, but I get to be around some incredible folks. And I go back to the simple stuff. Show up with a grateful heart, compete at a high level, and finish and start strong. And I've always had all my children and my kiddos that I've coached, I'll chant that stuff out, deep ingrained. And that's the biggest thing, is show up with a grateful heart. Because again, most people won't even show up. But if you can show up with a grateful heart, holy crap, the stuff that happens is beautiful.
Wow. What about the other two? You said one, you have two
Yep.
more.
I do. So like that new agent is go all in, no part-time bullshit, all in and follow your leader, like find that great teammate or team to lead you and go all in. And then lastly is you are in the prospecting business. If it's your sphere, like you're doing, or your people are there in your world, that's beautiful. In our world, it's a lot of online leads, 220,000 people in my database. Guess what? I want you prospecting to get 2 appointments on a daily basis. I don't care what your goals are. If you get 2 appointments on a daily basis, you'll blow your goals away, because the face-to-face connections gets the opportunity to build a relationship, and you come in with an empathetic curiosity conversation where you 20% of this questions and the rest you shut that.
Yeah, I love it.
That's the difference maker. If you do those things, you'll be successful in any sales profession.
No, this is awesome. This is awesome, Jack. And of course, you got to tell your audience, because I'm sure you're going to have like amazing people listening. How can they get in touch with you? It's very important. Is it your cell phone number, the DM via Instagram or Facebook?
Yeah. I mean, it's on the Instagram. It's Coach Jack Lehr. I think this is really incredible that you're reversing this stuff on me. So this is more important to get in touch with Lana as she grows her team or contemplates this really. But no, Coach Jack Lehr, they know how to hit me up here on the Lehr Podcast. They can do all that. Like we're on 12 different platforms, I think, or 97 or something like that, Shane. Yeah, something like that, whatever. Yeah, we're the True Advantage team. Lana, how do they get in touch with you? More importantly.
Well, do not follow me on TikTok unless you need weight loss advice. That's a little plug. Believe it or not, somehow I had a chance to grow organic audience on TikTok with non-real estate content. But so do not follow me on TikTok unless you want to know how to lose weight and things like that. But DM me on Facebook or DM me on Instagram. It's at Lana Rodriguez or the Lana Rodriguez, and I will get back to you, I promise. I check my messages regularly, and I would love to connect with you, friends. We're all in this together. We are all in to make our industry better, and let's go, and no agent left behind. I
love this. Lana, I am super grateful that you joined me today. If this helped you, if this resonated with you, please, look at my screen. It's getting all screwy here. If this helped you, please like, share, subscribe, and more importantly, hit up Lana, follow her on Instagram, on Facebook, or any place that she's, except for TikTok, unless you want to lose weight. So Lana, make your day great. I'm super grateful for you.
Jack, I appreciate you. Thank you so much, everyone.